Be thou my dignity, thou my delight, thou my soul shelter, thou my higher tower. Raise thee, me heavenward, oh power, Lord power. Raise thee, me heavenward, power, you're my power. Let's go, old school playing games like it's Nintendo. I like eating bread, I eat the word because it's bread though. And I see the cyber standing right in front of me, but I ain't going nowhere, son, this soldier don't know running. I see the giant, I slay him and I lay it down. I see the path, so I'll be gunning cause I'm purpose now. And I don't care, cause I ain't a slave to no one, nope. He gave me a key and a crown, I'm chilling in the kingdom, yo. I got the rhymes, like bags of coins and dimes. I got no watches, let the scriptures tell the times. I like to sing it and hear it on the radio. I sing in reggae, punk rock, soul, blues, jazz, and rock and roll. The riches I need no man's an empty praise. Thou mine inheritance, and now in no ways. Thou only, first in my heart, high King of heaven, my treasure. Thou art high King of heaven, my treasure. Thou art, thou art. May I reach heaven's joy so bright, heaven's sun, heart of my own heart. Whatever befall, still be my vision, oh ruler of all. Still be my vision, oh ruler of all. Be thou my wisdom, and thou my true word. I ever with thee, and thou with me, Lord. Thou my great Father, and I thy true Son. Thou in me dwelling, and I feel one. Thou in me dwelling, and I feel one.
What is up, youth fam? It is Shay coming to you live outside on this beautiful night. Tonight, you all got to hear that fun little worship video. Shout out to Rocco and Knox for helping make that. If you're interested in helping with music, helping with making stuff like that, we have a Passion Tribe for you. It's the Music Passion Tribe. We meet once a month. We'll be meeting at the end of this month. So the link should be in the chat. Go ahead and click that if you want to get plugged in there. And tonight, stay tuned because we have the third message of our One Love series coming from our very own Pastor G and Turner. So grab your shovels, fam, and let's dive in deep. Stay tuned.
What up, Midtown fam? It's Pastor G and
Turner,
the wheel burner.
Just Turner.
Turning, not churning.
No DJ here tonight.
It's turning, not churning. Anyway, we are doing something different. We are live outside because it's been beautiful lately.
It has
and
been.
We're like,
I'm
yo,
loving
you
this
know what?
weather.
And you know what's cool? Like, me and Turner were like, why don't we do something different?
Yeah.
And so we're in someone's random backyard. Don't say anything. They don't know, but we brought our equipment, and this is so cool. So if we get arrested, just know we are innocent.
They didn't see us carrying all these heavy bags.
No, not even a little
at all.
bit. Anyway, so we have a couple quick announcements before we dive into the scripture and our series. This is the last part of the series, One Love.
One Love.
Love God, love you, love others. And we're going to dive into that. Before we do, Turner, we have a couple things going on in the next couple weeks. And if you don't know how to connect with us or you don't know where to get information, well, first of all, first things first, on YouTube, that's right, YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the like, or that bell. Bing. And you don't want to miss out on the content and the community we do here on YouTube. We are live just like we are tonight, Sundays at 11, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. We have tribes after. You don't want to miss out on that. That's one thing because we're going to be doing that. We've been doing that. The other thing is our tribe life outside of Wednesdays. Turner, we have something coming up with tribes.
Yes,
Tell them
we
about
have
it, man.
our first in-person tribe night in a while. It's been a little bit.
It's been a bit.
It's been a little bit.
Someone
so
say it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. So next week, next Wednesday, we'll be meeting up with our tribes. You'll hear more information from your tribe leaders in your tribe after this. So Youth 56, the guys and the girls split up by grade. And so we can't wait for that. We can't wait to see you guys in person. It'll look different for everyone, but we'll be watching a message together. We'll be having fun, chopping it up, eating good food. The boys will be eating some tacos, as I've promised you for like 6 months now. We're finally going to have tacos.
They better be
together.
good tacos.
They will be.
Okay.
They'll be good ones.
So as you heard in the passion in Turner's voice and in mine, we are about doing life together. It's faith, family, future at Midtown Youth. So developing a personal relationship with Jesus, faith, all right? Remembering that we are a part of and finding our people in the body of God, family. And it's living out our purpose. It's finding out and sharpening our gift sets. It's living a life that goes beyond anything we could ever imagine because God's the narrator and author of it. So we got to trust him. Faith, family, and future. So whether you're joining us from the Sacramento region or anywhere else around, like, shout out to our Arizona family that checks us out and watches and does life with us, which is so cool. Couple in New York, like we've said, we're about doing that. So you can get connected as well. So whether you're in Sacramento or not, welcome to Midtown Youth. This is where we get down, all right? Midtown, where we get down. All right, so speaking of get down, One Love, Turner. We were talking about One Love. Week 1 was Levi, the passion guy, and he talked about loving God. And I think what I love about what he said, too, is because we were all talking about this. Oftentimes, when we talk about God, it's about how much he loves us. And it doesn't really, like most people are like, well, God loves me. God loves me. Don't judge me. God judges me, not you. And it's funny because like, well, does your life reflect your love for God? Because if he loves you, but you don't love God, then how are you living? Right. And does the way you live actually, do you live like he loves you? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things there. Levi tapped into that. If you hadn't seen it, check it out in the playlist right now, the One Love series. And then you had Shay and Cha-Cha.
The dynamic duo.
All right. Talking about just how to love self, and that loving self actually starts with loving God. Because when you love God, you can start seeing it's going to shift and change. We talked about this on Sunday together. It changes how you view yourself and how you view others, leading to tonight, love others. So we're going to start. Check out the verse. Boom, right here. Boom, the verse is coming. Romans 12, 9 through 21. That's right. Romans 12, 9 through 21. That's some few verses. So we're going to read some of it, and we're going to chop it up together tonight. Okay, here we go. So it says this. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Check this out. So let love be genuine. All right. So love is not just what you feel at the moment, because that's going to change. Like for some of y'all, it's getting ice cream at McDonald's, and then all of a sudden you change. The way you feel changes.
Some of y'all love a new person every day. Got a new crush every day. If we're being honest.
The wind blows. All of a sudden, I love something else.
I love them.
I know, right? Exactly.
Next day you're going to change.
Yeah, exactly. Or next minute. Next song, right? Let's just be honest here. Then it says, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Release, let go of, get rid of what is evil. Don't mess with it. Hold fast to what is good. It's saying quickly hold on to and grasp and be tight with what is good. Love one another with a brotherly affection. Treat each other like brothers and sisters. Is that too much to ask? I feel like sometimes God looks at us and goes, why can't you just love each other? Like if you know I love you, why can't you love each other? And we're going to get to that right now. And it says, outdo one another in showing honor. Now I want to pause on that, Turner. Outdo one another in showing honor. I think outdoing each other with what is good is so foreign to us as humans, because I think we want to outdo each other to prove ourselves that we're better than each other versus being confident in who we are and honoring one another. Like, why not show respect to one another? Why not go, look, I may be great at this, but you're great at this, and just love each other. It seems like in culture and in our world, outdoing one another in honor and love is like impossible because we're in a culture that says, no, do whatever it takes to be at the top. You know what's weird, bro? Have you ever just sat there and been like, I want to be the best at honoring people. I want to be the best at loving people. Like, those seem so foreign, right?
And the funny thing about honor is that it places you below someone, you know?
Bro, I'm telling you.
That's so opposite to what culture tells us. It says to be on top is to make it, to have power is to make it, to have influence is to make it. But God says, no, to fully love one another is to lower yourself below that person and honor them. Honor them as if they were a master, someone.
Yeah, and let's talk about that real quick, because when it says like honor someone, and you said, I love how you said like lower, it doesn't mean less than, though. And I think, why do we get it twisted, right? We go, honoring someone means that it's not that we find a lesser value in ourselves. It means that we're willing to place others before us. Yo, that's power, and that's really something different, okay? How do you love someone? Well, you can't love someone if you're first. You hear the crickets? I
hear them.
I hear like crick, crick. But that's just true. So let's continue, because we stay on that all night. It says, do not be slothful in zeal, be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord. Look, do not be lazy in passion. It's saying be really passionate, be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord. Guys, loving others involves serving. Just so you know, Christ came to serve, not to be served. So the one who came to save us came to serve us, and yet we have an issue with serving one another. That's a problem. That's a hard issue. That's not a God thing. That's a you and me thing. If God came to serve, okay, we can serve. And I'm not talking about like, but you know what? I will go there if we have to. But what I'm saying is, servanthood isn't a form of slavery in the sense when you're placing others before you and putting their needs before you and loving God and loving others. It's going, there's needs that aren't mine that I'm going to place before mine because I know God's got me. Yo, that's a sign of confidence. How can you see someone confident these days? Is when they're confident in who they are in Christ, confident who they are around others. When we know I don't have to be so-and-so, I'm going to lift them up. I'm going to support them. I'm going to cheer for them. I'm going to love my enemy. Yeah, I just said that one. Love thy enemies, dude. Like what? We're like, heck no. No, I want them to suffer. I want revenge. I want revenge. I want them to feel the hurt I've hurt. Right? And it continues. It says, rejoice in hope. Interesting. Well, no hope, right? No God, no hope. But to know God is to know hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. It's saying, look, be patient when times get tough. Be constantly in prayer. All right. There's a lot of good stuff in this portion of scripture. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. That's right. It's not just saying a bad word at them. It's actually literally do not curse them. Do not wish harmful things upon them. Yo, I just want you to know, you may not think you practice or support magic or all these different things of curses, but when you wish harm on someone, you're cursing them. And God don't take that lightly. No. Because he loves you.
And he loves that person.
And he loves that person. Don't you dare mess with his. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right, bro. Good stuff. And it says, rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Yo, listen, never be wise in your own sight. If you look in the mirror and you're telling yourself, I'm the wisest person. We know what's funny about that? Let's pause for a second. If you literally are the wisest person, or you believe you're the wisest person with your friends, that's on you. You need to pursue people who know more than you and challenge you. Because if you're just around people who think you're dope, you're actually going to not do well. You know what I mean?
And I think I don't know. I struggled with this a lot. I always thought I was the wisest. I have all the answers. I know exactly what's right. But I'm also like, I have to acknowledge my age, my status of life, and surround myself with people older than me, more experienced.
Did you just point at me, bro? Did you just point at me?
Somewhat, a little bit older. Wow. Barely older.
Anyway, but to your point, I think it's older and wiser, not just older, because it's both. Like there's people who are younger than you that might know something better than you, and honor them and learn from them. Why do we have to be intimidated with others and what they're good at? Like, you can't love others when jealousy is your first response. And I'm the first one to tell you, look, it bugs me sometimes when people aren't, let's say, as good as maybe I think I am at something, and they succeed in that. Like, that's a human battle.
Yeah.
Because you're going, what the heck? Like, I
why
worked
did
hard
they get
for this.
that? Yeah, I've been working hard. Yeah.
And that's something that it's normal to feel that way at first, because remember, we talk about this in the very beginning in Genesis. It's your battle. Like, the soul and the flesh are at war. Your flesh wants to satisfy and gratify itself. Your flesh wants to feel your flesh wants to live all up in its feelings. You know why? Because you get lost in them, right? But your soul's like, nah, that's not why we're here. That's not like, we're not just a bunch of flesh bags, you know, like there's a reason why we're at war with our emotions and our thoughts, is because there's something more to our life. Okay, here we go. It says, repay no evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. By the way, honor is a reoccurring theme here. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Interesting. Just some, Turner? No, all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For by so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Listen.
Wow.
That on a human level doesn't make sense naturally, because naturally, well, like I said, we want ourselves to feel the best first. It's like when you get a pizza, you know, like we all look for the biggest slice because there's some gratification that we got the biggest slice.
Yep.
Instead of looking around the room and saying who needs it more. You know what I mean? Like it's little things like that we may take for granted, and like that's small, but like if we're doing a lot of the small things, that means we're setting ourselves up to do a lot of the big things.
Yep.
And it doesn't happen overnight. It's like we're training. So we're either training ourselves to love well and live well, or we're training ourselves to love less and live less.
Yep.
And so with you, Turner, when I ask you just straight up, like this love that we're talking about, it's not just in the songs you like love. It's not just like, oh, they looked at me, I looked at them love. It's deeper than that.
Yep.
And it's messier than that.
It's messy.
And it always goes back to who?
To Jesus.
Always goes back to Christ. And
Yep.
I think people get caught up in the religious stuff, and it's like when you really read about Jesus, it's really a love that messes you up. Like it's a love that you're gonna get mad at. It's a love that you feel you don't deserve, and it's all those things. It's like, you know, what you were gonna say.
And if I'm being honest, like sometimes my reaction to these verses are like to get a little defensive and mad.
100%.
I'm like, does he really expect me to do that?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to love my enemies. You know,
Right.
I don't
That's
want to
not
repay
fair.
evil. Yeah, for
That's
good.
not
That's not
fair.
fair. They deserve this, God.
Yeah.
They deserve to have this happen to you. But like this love seems crazy that Paul talks about here. It seems radical.
It seems radical,
unreasonable.
and it seems unreasonable.
Unreasonable.
I think that's what we even call this. Is we'll call it the unreasonable love. I think because it doesn't make sense. Because here, let's break this down for him. It does not and would not make sense for a blameless person to take the sentence of a guilty person. No. It does not make sense for someone to pay for something that someone else has stolen. It makes no sense to love your enemies in our stance as a human concern. It makes no sense to have to forgive. It makes more sense to love or have and love ourselves more in a way and have others feel what we felt when we were hurt. It makes sense for us to get the gratification and the justice of how they wronged us. That's God's love doesn't make sense. There's no reason to it because it's beyond us. It's more powerful than that. You can't, when I think of all the like crazy stuff in the Bible, when I say crazy, not like cuckoo, I go crazy of like, like the reason I believe Jesus could do the miracles he did wasn't because of magic, but it was because of the love he was willing to love. Like when you forgive enemies, and you forgive and face the sin, the evil of the world for others who don't deserve it, you probably could do some stuff I can't understand, because if you can love like that, it makes sense.
Yeah.
The love doesn't make sense because we can only understand so much. And usually when someone is unreasonable, it's a bad thing. When we usually say the word unreasonable, like that person's unreasonable. Right. And usually when someone goes against reason, it's unwise, it's ridiculous, it's mean, it's annoying. It's like they're so unreasonable. But what if, let's talk about this for a second. What if being reasonable wasn't all what it's cracked up to be? What if a love that we can simply understand isn't really love at all? Look at that smirk over here. He's like, you feeling something. I get it. What if Turner, what if being reasonable is our problem? What if being reasonable is your problem? What if being reasonable is too comfortable when it comes to love? I'm not saying all things. We're not saying all things. We're talking about love here, where God doesn't ask of us to do what he didn't do. He asks of us and empowers us and says, because of me, you can love enemies. Because of me, you can forgive those who hurt you, and you don't have to be a slave to that.
I think, like, what if we did challenge that? What if we said no, as followers of Christ, as brothers and sisters, we're not just going to do the bare minimum. We're not just going to show up on a Wednesday, show up on a Sunday.
That's right.
We're not just going to say something nice to someone in our tribe. We're not just going to do what our parents tell us. Like, no, we're going to go above and beyond and be unreasonable with the way that we love one another, the way that we show honor to the people around us, the way we show honor to those who hate us, to those who persecute us, who are evil towards us. Like what would change in our communities, in our families, in our relationships, in Midtown youth, in Midtown as a whole, if we chose to be unreasonable with the kind of love that we show?
Check this out. It's funny you said that. So in 1925, there was a writer who won the Nobel Prize. And his name was George Bernard Shaw. And he wrote this. Check out this quote. "A reasonable man adapts himself to the world around him. An unreasonable man expects the world to adapt to him. Therefore, all progress is made by unreasonable men." Let me say it again for the ladies. A reasonable woman adapts herself to the world around her. An unreasonable woman expects the world to adapt to her. Therefore, all progress is made by unreasonable women.
I love that.
The funny thing is, Shaw is echoing Romans 12:2.
Yeah.
Okay? It encourages us to avoid conforming to the world, to being just like everyone else, and start thinking like God desires us to. Renewing of our minds, transforming our hearts from stone to flesh. Interesting. To make godly decisions. That's what Christians, Christ ions, little Christ, you and I, are supposed to be.
Yep.
Romans 12:1-2, and we've talked about this even this last Sunday. If you didn't see it, check it out. But it says this: "I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by the testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." Reason, Turner, tells us to go with the flow. Reason tells us that if everyone else in school, or everyone else in the neighborhood, or everyone else in the community is home doing something that is harmful to the soul, to the heart, to the mind, or to the body, dabbling in drugs, having just sex with different partners, and being in relationships that are harmful to you. Now listen, hear me, let me pause real quick. I'm not saying that everyone who messes up is bad. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, usually when we want to feel something, we'll do the reasonable thing to culture, but not to what it means to follow God. We try to feel things of the world, and then we want godly responses. If we dabble with the things of the world, we're going to get what the world gives, and that's death, spiritually, mentally, physically. Even just the other day, I had a friend of mine pass away, no real reason. Had a health travesty, a horrific thing. Death is for all of us. And this world, it's interesting to me how much of a shocker it is with life and death. Like, I think we actually think we're going to be this way forever. And God's like, no, while you're here, absorb me, follow me, love me, so that you can love you, so you can love others. And Turner, it's interesting because Reason, while living on earth, tells us to go with the flow of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And in your schools right now, and your age and your season, not because like, oh, no, think about this for a second. I want you to challenge yourself in your thinking. I want you to close your eyes even this moment and ask yourself, why do I even like the things I like? Because if you're honest, someone inspired that thought. Something you saw inspired that feeling.
Yep.
The world around us is pushing us towards something. The flesh on our bodies desires and craves something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just do this right now, Turner.
Yeah.
If you're right now in a relationship that is harmful to you mentally, physically, and emotionally, let us help you get out of it.
Yep.
If you're hurting or harming yourself physically, let us walk you through this. Because here's the deal. Loving God is not the religious thing to do. Loving God is the thing that's going to connect you to loving yourself better and being able to love others, which we've been talking about tonight. And that's the unreasonable thing in a world that tells you, it don't matter. Just do it. Just do whatever. So I hope you hear my words and you understand, and Turner's words, and understand that this isn't accusation night.
No.
This is like, let us walk this with you. Let us meet each other where we're at. Let's be honest, and let's tap into a love that maybe is asking us to be unreasonable. Because you know why? Changing our thoughts will change our actions. Changing what we think about, Turner, will change how we see ourselves, the things we want to pursue.
Yep.
Doesn't make it like easy, just make like it's clearer. Like if you think about it, it talks about a renewing of your mind. Who would ever thought that a renewing of our mind can correlate to us loving God, him loving us, and us loving others? Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's crazy, and then changing our actions will change our homes, our schools, our campuses, our workplace, our neighborhoods, even in a digital world. In fact, your change of action can change the world.
Yep. And I don't have time to be reasonable, honestly.
No,
I love that you brought that up. It's tragic when death occurs around us, but it also reminds us that we don't have time to just be reasonable, to just go with the status quo, to just do what everyone else is doing.
Don't be a slave to the status quo. I see what you did there.
Don't be a slave to the status quo.
Plug
for Modern Abolition.
Modern Abolition right there.
Our life is so short.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's just a blip. And we don't, and to fully take advantage of this time we have on earth, let's live unreasonably. Let's love people unreasonably.
Yeah.
And let's start that today.
Yeah.
Don't wait until you're out of school. Don't wait until you're at this stage of life. No, let's start loving unreasonably today.
Yeah.
Who in your life can you go above and beyond in showing honor for? Who in your life can you be unreasonable and say, no, I'm going to choose to love you even though no one else will. I'm going to choose to honor you even though what you said just offended me. I'm going to choose to love you and respect you even though you hate me. I'm going to choose love. And that's unreasonable, but we don't have time to be reasonable.
Yeah. And
don't.
And following Christ is the unreasonable thing in our world, because the world will just tell you no, do what you feel. And let's be honest, bro, everything we feel isn't good.
No.
It may feel good, but if it's never enough though. So if loving people is the unreasonable thing and following Christ is the unreasonable thing, it's interesting. In following Christ, we begin, and learning about Christ, we begin to think like Christ. And he will help us live like Christ. And then we will see like Christ. And then we will love like Christ. And ultimately, people will see Christ in you and me. You see, being unreasonable with love helps others see God. That's a side we haven't talked about. See, when you love people in a way that Christ loves you, which we're called to do, they see him. And if they see him, they might just have that chance. They just might have that chance to experience the love God has for them. Jesus' choice. Jesus Christ made a choice, a conscious choice to take up the cross. And it broke reason into pieces. Think about it for a second, okay?
It made no sense.
It made no sense. I'm going to pay for everyone's mess ups. All the evil, all the dirt, the dirtiest thing, the most evil moment you've ever had. He's like, I'm going to pay for that.
The ones who killed him.
The ones that even killed him. Okay.
Yep.
The cross is not just cool jewelry, by the way. The cross is a symbol of an unreasonable love. It's saying all those who say, I'm the son of the living God, that say that I'm paying the price for freedom and for reconciliation in a relationship with God the Father. That symbol is, it don't make sense, but you're worth it. You know, did you hear that? You and I are a product of it not making sense for God to love us and him loving us. It's an unreasonable love, and it makes no sense, but the world needed it more than anything. You and I needed it more than anything else, inside or outside this world. Like, we couldn't have done it because you can't buy it.
Yep.
It's an old Beatles song, Can't Buy Me Love, right? You can't buy love. You can buy experiences, sure. But if that was enough, why would we keep buying them?
Yep.
Like, why would we keep trying to get more?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I just want us to hear that right now. This loving others, and I think this is where we need to go, and then we can close out here. In loving others isn't just to be kind. It isn't just to say nice things or encourage them. Those are all great things.
Yep.
Loving others for you and I involves forgiving others. The Bible clearly says that if you do not forgive others, then we do not experience or receive forgiveness from God. And I think,
those are some hard words,
dude, that's hurtful, because you're going, but it's not fair what they did. And he's like, but you weren't fair either. And no one wants to hear that, because we have this scoreboard, right?
Yep.
Of like all the people that hurt us, all the people that messed us up, you know, all the people that did wrong. And we go, until those are made right, God, I ain't going to forgive them. And God goes, I wash that clean when I die for y'all.
Yep.
And in the series that we're talking about, and we're closing out tonight, Christ paid the payment for you and I that made no sense. And it was also unrepayable for us. We cannot love God, love ourselves, and love others right unless we start forgiving. If you're choosing not to forgive people, I'm not saying you have to be their best friend anymore. I'm not saying you even have to act like it doesn't hurt anymore. That's not what I'm saying. Because Christ will give you the power to do that, which is crazy dope, right? To move forward, right? To endure. He's saying you don't have to be a slave to that pain anymore. You don't have to be a slave to that to their power over you and that control they have. He's saying that doesn't need to happen anymore. What he's saying is this: you can be imperfect and still my daughter and son that I love. And he's saying, but when you can start forgiving others, you can really start seeing, experiencing, and sensing and feeling and living in his love, in which you can love yourself and love others.
Yep.
I don't know about you, man, but I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I want to say something to that. Like, we don't want to sit here and excuse what was done to you. You know, 100%. We don't want to sit here and minimize what was said to you.
Nope,
like the things that were done to you and said to you that were wrong and sinful, like those are wrong and sinful. But in this passage, God says, I'll take care of that. Yeah. You know, I'll take care of the punishment. I'll take care of the consequences for that. Like, you don't have to worry about them. And it says that by loving our enemies, by forgiving the people who've hurt us, we heap coals on their head.
Yep.
You know, by choosing to love them, you know, like
they don't know what to do.
Yeah, they don't know what to do. They're
like,
so
what the
confused.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think both of us can attest to this. We chose to forgive people that didn't deserve our forgiveness.
100%.
You know, we chose to forgive people who did things to us that were sinful or evil. But the freedom that we were able to experience by choosing to love them and forgive them, not just let them off the hook, not just forget about, not just push it down, but to truly deal with it and love them, forgive them, is so worth it.
And that's the thing, is like you said, like, there's a freedom part, and we'll get into that another day. But I just want to close on that with you, is true freedom comes when you've released the grip of what evil has on you, because Christ paid for that already.
Yeah.
And you can and it's a good valid point to say, but what about, all right, Pastor G, but what about now? I'm struggling now. It still hurts now. And the trust part with that is that's why God made a heaven, because that's the ultimate, is gone. Like, while on earth, you don't need to be a slave to it. But when we're in heaven, walking, doing life the way, walking with our Heavenly Father, and no more pain, no more sorrow, no more death, like, that's the ultimate, like, mic drop of like, yo, I told you.
Yep.
And so Are we still in a process? Yeah. Have I forgiven everybody on this planet? No, I haven't. You know, like it's a process. And I think loving God, loving you and loving others is the journey we all get to go on to truly understand love.
Yeah.
It's not just a seasonal thing. It's not just February 14th. It's not, you know, it's not just See's candy or it's not just handing a little card that says, I love you with your name on it, or check a box if you like me back. Like, love is when you're in the mud with people and you feel stuck there and you're saying, but I love God enough to trust that I can love these people back. And you start pulling people out the mud with you and you don't leave them there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing, but it's the most powerful, beautiful thing, because guess what? Jesus went in the mud after you, and Jesus went in the mud after me. And you know what? He didn't mind getting it on him either. So as we close this series, One Love, I want to say one last thing, and that is this. If you're out there watching, you desire to experience and receive the love of God, you can. If you want to be better at loving yourself, it starts with loving God and letting him love you. And if you think that loving others kind of hides the self-love thing, it's not, because you're actually cheating others of real love when you're not loving God and loving yourself, just so you know. But you can love God more and receive his love more. And you can love you more and experience God's love of you more. And you can love others more, because there's power in his love. It's not a weakness. It's not an act. It's not a joke. He's saying, the love I have for you, put me on a cross so that you can have life eternal. The love I have for you, when the fires come, you can rise from the ashes. When you don't feel like you have hope, I can give you hope. Like, that's power. God's love is not a weakness. God's love is not what you and I feel, and we write a new song every time we get our hearts broken. He's like, my heart breaks for the people that I wish it would turn their ways. In fact, there's a verse in oh man, I just brain farted, but it's in the Old Testament. I'll find it for you, because you can put Pastor G on blast. It says, I take no joy in the death of the wicked, but I would much rather them change their ways. That's the kind of love we have, that God doesn't take joy when evil people die. He goes, why didn't they just trust me? Why didn't they just let me love them, so that we can rid the pain and the sorrow and they can love people? That's God's love. That's the one love. He's the source. He's the giver. And he's the engulfer of us with true love. So what we're going to do now, and thank you so much, Turner, tag teaming tonight, is we're going to jump into some tribes. And we love you guys so much. We will see you. The link's in the chat right now. Don't miss out on what Turner said. We got different tribe meetups coming out throughout the month. We're working on what it looks like to get together again in person. But until then, we are accessible. Click the link. Let us know how you're doing. Let's set up a chat.
Reach out to us.
Reach out to us. We'd love to pray for you. We'd love to walk you through these decisions you're making. And if you need prayer, we want to pray for you. So we love you guys. We thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that bell. Bing. And we will see you guys Sunday at 11 a.m. Take it easy.